Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night in the Midlands. I am Michael Vera, and this broadcast is coming at you live out of the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina. It is October 19th, 2012, and I want to welcome each and every one of you, wherever it is you may be around the globe, in the chat room or on the phone lines. We've got, another good one, and no stranger to Late Night in the Midlands. Susan Lindauer will be joining us. She is the author of Extreme Prejudice, the terrifying story of the Patriot Act and the cover-ups of 9/11 and Iraq. And what's more is she is a victim of the Patriot Act, and we're going to talk to her. We're going to start right from the beginning with Susan Lindauer tonight, and we're going to get right into all this. And there has been people I mentioned the other night. I listened to this other show. I forget what the name of the show was even, but somebody had it posted up, so I took a listen to these phone calls that came in. And there was people who were calling in and saying, come on, the military wouldn't really come and arrest anybody. That's just a conspiracy theory. It's not true. And in their perfect little Smurf village, that's not true. The problem is we're not in Smurf's village. We don't have to worry just about Gargamel. We've got to worry about a whole stew of these criminals, and we're going to talk about that and more tonight with Susan Lindauer. The call-in number, 347-989-1012. Got to press 1 so that we know you want to get on. You can also call in using Skype, and I got a few stories I want to get into. Then we're going to take the break, and then when we come back, we'll have our guest, Susan Lindauer, with us. And I urge you to get over to www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Become a member, be informed, by all means, inform others. Very important we get the information out. As I've said in the past, that sand, it is through the hourglass. And it's very important that we all take some kind of action, even if it's the littlest action and we're just telling a friend, a family member, a neighbor about what's really going on, because there's a lot of people who are still brainwashed by the fake news. And very important that we put a stop to that. And I also want to mention about a little thing going on with YouTube. Apparently, Glenn Kennedy's YouTube had been, I guess a couple of the videos were reported for copyright or something. And apparently it went back to him that it came from my account. And, Glenn and I had talked since, and, I have sent several messages to YouTube telling them that, I had absolutely no problem with the video. I mean, they're promoting me too, so why would I care? And I told them I did not request for videos to come down. I think it's something that YouTube is at. I think that, it's just one of those fed things, because I've had it happen to me too. Where they shut my channel right down once for something that was totally belonged to me. I had every right to have up there. But in any case, I had talked with Glenn Kennedy about it. I sent him the notices that I've sent to YouTube, so he's aware that it's not an attack for me. I have no interest in attacking anybody, and but I just thought I'd get that out there. So I hope that he gets that worked out. No, I'm not working with Glenn, and we had a falling out and all that good stuff. But, at the same time, we're not at each other's throats, and I'm not going to be. So I wanted to make that clear, and just go public with that one. So YouTube at it again with their games. Quasi, I'm going to try to say this name. My God, it's so long. Quasi Mohammed Roswal Hassan Nafis. I mean, how long did it take the parents to come up with that name? The deluded al-Qaeda wannabe who supposedly plotted to bomb the Federal Reserve had an accomplice, according to the feds. The government says Howard Willie Carter II, a.k.a. Yaqueen, is a child porno pervert who collaborated with Nafis. Despite the government's assertion that Nafis is a hardened terrorist who pledged loyalty to Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, a classmate at a Missouri college where Nafis enrolled said he often said Muslims don't believe in violence. Jim Dow, a 54-year-old Army veteran, said the terrorist image portrayed by the federal government doesn't seem to be in character of Nafis, the Seattle Times had reported. The feds claim Nafis was inspired by American-born cleric Anwar al-Awlaki, who was the spiritual leader of the alleged 9/11 hijackers. See, now if they're putting them in with the 9/11 hijackers, well, right there, you know, here we go with the BS, because 9/11 hijackers, I mean, you're talking about these Flintstones with box cutters, right? A fact that didn't seem to concern the Pentagon top brass, who invited him to dine with them just months after the September 11th attacks, despite the fact that he had personally colluded with the very hijackers, supposed hijackers, who were alleged to have slammed Flight 77 into the Pentagon. Another big what if. Steve Watson wrote that for the Infowars.com in September of 2011. And, it seems every indication points to Al-Awlaki being a double agent working for U.S. intelligence. He has been involved in almost every terror plot over the last couple of years. The case has rekindled the argument that the government needs more authority to violate the Constitution in order to root out terrorists. Civil liberties have definitely taken a back seat to terrorism or this promoting of terrorism. There's just no doubt about it. And I think it's just another plot. They get these FBI agents, they embed them in with your groups or what have you. And then, like I say, if you're ever in the bar and somebody sits next to you and says, wouldn't it be cool to blow this up or blow that, just get up and walk away. Get up and walk away, because that's what they like to do. As soon as you engage in conversation with them, right away, you're going down. Okay, moving right along here, an alleged effort to speed up lunch lines. Biometric finger scan technology is being tested at a few public schools in South Carolina. We're getting everything here now. We've had the military helping with crowd control, they say, for the Gamecocks game. And now we've got the finger scan technology coming to a school near us here in South Carolina. And it is being met with harsh criticism by at least one parent who says she should have been offered the option to opt out. According to FoxCarolina.com, a few schools in the Anderson District 5 region are undergoing a pilot program for finger scanners that get an entire grade through the lunch line, they say, in just 10 minutes. This isn't about just getting kids through the lunch line, I can guarantee you that. The report eerily goes on to say that the system reads the finger like a barcode and turns it into a number, but that no fingerprints will be stored in a database. The technology's implementation has angered, again, at least one parent, Gabrielle Murdoch, who believes the new system is a breach of her son's rights. Reportedly, her son was sick the day the notes were sent out, informing parents of the privacy-intruding scanners. Murdoch told the Fox affiliate that she's upset there was absolutely no permission needed for the students to begin participation. Murdoch said that this is the kind of program that should be opt-in versus opt-out. And again, this was reported by Fox Carolina, and I'm actually surprised they even reported on it. Increasingly, we are seeing a growing number of biometric identification programs being subtly rolled out into several public schools across America. Aside from the obvious link to the mark of the beast, prophesied in the Bible, the finger scan technology has another sinister agenda behind it. Stated goal of speeding up lunch lines, which I don't believe so either. And by the way, a lot of this information came from Fox Carolina and also Infowars. It's evident that Big Brother is prowling on the most defenseless of Americans, public school children, And while a seemingly minor thing like allowing the scanning of a finger or a palm may not seem like a big deal to some, it is, however, a form of prisoner training, just like having the troops over here for crowd control, military on the streets. It's conditioning. It's conditioning, teaching subservience and getting them used to pretty much a surveillance state, conditioning them, if I may. It also serves as a precursor to what may lie down the road, a cashless society with a one world currency where we'll be forced to scan either our eyes, face, or hands to conduct various transactions. If we all had it in us to revolt against the system, as Andrea Hernandez, her supporters, and her family did, privacy invading biometric technologies would stop dead in their tracks. And I have not received any notice myself about my kids in this program, so apparently it hasn't hit my area yet. But when it does, I'll be certain to get involved. This from Natural News. While millions of Americans were busy watching the elephant puppet battle, the ass puppet, at the latest political circus, the United States Congress quietly introduced a new piece of legislation ordering the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to begin preparing for mass casualties throughout the country. Get that. Mass casualties. Preparing for it. Why? House Resolution 6566, also known as the Mass Fatality Planning and Religious Considerations Act, would amend the Homeland Security Act of 2002 to mandate that FEMA immediately begin conducting mass fatality planning in preparation for a major event or a series of events that may kill off untold numbers of people. See, with all these training things going on, they just had these earthquake trainings on the East Coast, and they've done it, the purchasing of bullets and stored foods and all this stuff that they're doing, Homeland Security, and now telling FEMA prepare for mass fatality. I don't know. You use your imagination. The bill also anonymously sets up the FEMA administration as a type of emergency dictator with the power to control how local communities, private businesses, nonprofit organizations, religious organizations, and even individuals prepare and respond to a mass fatality event. Funeral homes, cemeteries, mortuaries could be overwhelmed should mass fatalities arise from a natural disaster, act of terrorism, or other man-made disaster, says the legislation, which also specifies the manner in which people with certain religious affiliations should be buried following their deaths. And you can read more on this disturbing legislation in full at www.govtrack.us. Again, that's www.govtrack.us. So they're preparing for a whole bunch of us to die. Sounds like that depopulation program is going in full effect, if you ask me. I'm going to take my break now. When we come back, I'll have Susan Lindauer. And again, we're going to talk about 9/11, the NDAA, Patriot Act, the New World Order, their agenda, Iraq, the wars. We're going to get into it all in just a few minutes. 347-989-1012. We'll take calls after Susan and I get into it just a little bit. I know we've got Jose Collazo who's on the line. And Jose, hang on there with me, buddy, and we'll get you on, and you can talk with Susan for a few minutes as well. Get over to LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member. Be informed. Inform others. We'll be right back. This is Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network.
Is there proof of God's existence in our government's records? Author Jose Collazo brings his years of research into this stunning question to light in God Does Exist, No More Nuclear Testing, and more. Touching on little-known government projects such as the Remote Viewers Program and Active Auroral Research Program, Collazo has uncovered some amazing discoveries through his research and use of the Freedom of Information Act. From uncovered information on the Ark of the Covenant to connections between natural disasters and nuclear testing, experience this revealing look into our government's obscure and hidden work. Discover how new and experimental technologies may change our world forever and uncover monumental proof and answers to mankind's greatest questions in God Does Exist, No More Nuclear Testing, and more.
Late Night in the Midlands is an alternative media that covers the truth, theory, and facts that the mainstream media won't talk about. We cover everything from the known and the unknown, the normal and the paranormal, the government lies and the government ties, and even their thrive. We tell what's coming, what's going, whether it be politics or archaeologists. We have an amazing fan base, and our shows are all archived to be heard millions of times more. So tell your friends, your family, and anybody you care about LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member and be informed. Check out Crystal's TLC. Hit the Avon link to view a full line of 100% guaranteed Avon products. See and order their specialty scented, long-burning soy candles, and while you're at it, check out their other great products from tie-dyed to incense. At some point, your power may go out, and Crystal's TLC has you covered there too. I have been in the same house with others when power is out and water is not running, and let me tell you, it not only gets dark at night, but the odors become very present. That's why Crystal's TLC's unscented and scented candles are perfect to use now or keep on hand in case of an emergency. Their candles are produced especially from Crystal's TLC and come in a wide variety. You can order directly from the website at www.crystalstlc.com and bring peace of mind and beauty into your life. www.crystalstlc.com. Is it possible to read a person's thoughts? Can we implant thoughts also? Is there evidence of the existence of God? Does USGS records show increases in earthquakes due to nuclear testing? Author Jose Collazo says yes, and he has the proof in his 3 books titled America's New Slavery, fMRI Technology, America's New Slavery Behind the Scenes and Update, God Does Exist, No More Nuclear Testing, and much more. Researched under the Freedom of Information Act and other sources, Jose Collazo has the proof to most of his claims and is investigating others. You can get copies of his books on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or www.xlibris.com. That's www.xlibris.com. Or you can click the book banner on the main page right next to the chat room on www.LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Get your copy now. You're listening to the LNM Radio Network. The LNM Radio Network covers it all with great shows like Tough Reality, Paranormal Perception, The Hurricane Hour, Angel's Lighthouse, and of course our very own Late Night in the Midlands. So when you think of a network that takes an interest in everything, think of a network that covers everything. The LNM Radio Network, exploring the truth and exposing the lies day and night. For the full lineup on times and dates of the shows we generate, go to www.LateNightInTheMidlands.com and click the On-Air Schedule tab at the top of the website. We want to stick around and continue to bring you the best guests and the best shows from around the globe with the best information. And we cannot do it without your support. So please spread our content as much as you can and donate on the website by going to www.LateNightInTheMidlands.com, and on the right side of the page you will see the donate buttons, and you can rest assured that every penny you donate goes to help the LNM Radio Network stay on the air and expose the world one truth. There is a condition 1 out of every 3 people around the world suffer with. RMS. A condition that can be crippling. RMS. a condition that causes confusion and discomfort, rapid pounding of a fist on tables, and unwillingness to watch the fake news. RMS, restless mind syndrome. You may not have heard of it, but if you are one of the millions suffering from this condition, there is now hope. You do not have to go through life not knowing what to do next or how to rid yourself of this health-bearing condition, now being recognized by doctors, lawyers, and victims all over the world. The cure? LNM. Just listen to this testimonial by one of our subscribers.
I can say true to my heart that LNM worked for me. I stood up day and night confused by what the fake news has told me. I could not even take care of my family or hold a job. I couldn't even get off the couch to do anything, and I knew there was a problem. Now since I've been on LMN, my family life is back, and I'm waking up more people than ever around the world.
Now you know what you can do to put an end to restless mind syndrome. Ask your doctor about LNM and ask if it's right for you. LNM should not be taken without a prescription. It should never be taken while on drugs like Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. You should also tell your doctor if you take Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, or Randy Rhoads serious. Side effects of LNM include waking up, spreading truth, passing out cards and flyers. Other side effects may include, but not limited to, the expansion of mind and thought, arguments with sheeple, high blood pressure, preparedness, mood swings, and the feeling of a need to get involved. If you see chemtrails after you have begun using LNM, contact your state and local officials immediately, because this could be a sign you're waking up. LNM, because you don't have to live in the dark with RMS anymore. You're listening to Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network. The call-in number is 347-989-1012. You can also call in using Skype. We now return to the program. All right, we are back, and you may ask yourself, how did I end up in this indefinite detention camp? Well, you may ask yourself why you didn't believe it when people were telling you that this is what's going on. And, well, it's simple. It's because, so many people are in denial. They sit on their hands, except for when they have the remote. They want to change channels, go from Fox to CNN. That's why we're where we are today. And not to mention, the elite, if you want to call them that, have been pretty slick in how they do things. I mean, look at Obama. He signed the NDAA bill while everybody was out dancing, New Year's Eve. He knew when to do it. They know what they're doing. They sneak these little provisions in. They're just so sneaky and so evil. And we will be talking about that with Susan Lindauer here in just a few minutes. I do want to urge you, get over to latenightinthemidlands.com, become a member, be informed, and you know the rest, inform others. I also want to give a shout-out to Jose Collazo and urge you to go over and check out his book. We have his banners up on latenightinthemidlands.com. fMRI technology. If you have an interest in that, he has done a lot of research on it. He can give you the ups, the downs, the low downs on it. America's New Slavery, that's his book. We do have that over on latenightinthemidlands.com, right above the player. And also, a world leader in the delivery of underground shelter systems, nuclear, biological, chemical, earthquake, EMP, even as simple as tornado, whatever it is you need to keep your loved ones safe, hardenedstructures.com. Make sure you check out Hardened Structures if you've been looking to get one of those types of shelters, any kind of shelter, safety shelter built. We do have them listed over on latenightinthemidlands.com. And as a matter of fact, if you click on the banner, to go over and do business with Hardened Structures and do it through latenightinthemidlands.com, you'll save yourself a cool $500. So you might want to go check that out if that's something you've been looking into. And I want to tell you a bit about Susan Lindauer. She'll be with us momentarily. I did talk with her earlier, emailed with her earlier, and she'll be along in just a few minutes. She was accused. Well, let's start right from the beginning. As a U.S. intelligence asset, Susan Lindauer covered anti-terrorism at the Iraqi embassy in New York from 1996 up to the invasion. Independent sources have confirmed that she gave advance warning about the 9/11 attack. She also started talks for the Lockberry trial and Libyan diplomats shortly after requesting to testify before Congress about successful elements of pre-war intelligence. Lindauer became the first non-Arab American arrested on the Patriot Act as an Iraqi agent. She was accused of warning her second cousin, White House Chief of Staff Andrew Card and Secretary of State Colin Powell, that war with Iraq would have catastrophic consequences. Granted of the Patriot Act, her indictment was loaded with secret charges and secret evidence. She was subjected to 1 year in prison on Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, Texas, without a trial or hearing, and threatened with indefinite detention and forcible drugging to shut her up. After 5 years of indictment without a conviction or guilty plea, the Justice Department dismissed all charges 5 days before Barack Hussein Obama till he took office, I guess. Extreme Prejudice, the terrifying story of the Patriot Act and the cover-ups of 9/11 in Iraq. That is the book, and she'll be with us momentarily. I don't like calling him President Barack Obama. I just don't. It just doesn't fit, never has fit with me. So, I get stumped there on what name to give him. I like to call him Barack Hussein Obama because, that's the name he goes by. I don't know if the Social Security number matches up right, but that's the name he goes by. 347-989-1012. Again, that's the number to call in. And if you want to call in using Skype, you could do it from the Blog Talk Radio show page, which we also have linked up over at latenightinthemidlands.com. Or if you need further directions, you can always go to latenightinthemidlands.com and ask in the chat room, and they'll get you started right there. So that's probably the best way to go about it. So, we're just waiting for Susan to dial in, and as soon as she does, we'll get things started with her. So let me just go ahead and make sure that everything's going as planned, and we'll be back in just a minute, everybody. Hang in there with me. We will be right back. There is a condition 1 out of every 3 people around the world suffer with. RMS. A condition that can be crippling. RMS. A condition that causes confusion and discomfort, rapid pounding of a fist on tables, and unwillingness to watch the fake news. RMS. Restless mind syndrome. You may not have heard of it, but if you are one of the millions suffering from this condition, there is now hope. You do not have to go through life not knowing what to do next or how to rid yourself of this health-bearing condition, now being recognized by doctors, lawyers, and victims all over the world. The cure? LNM. Just listen to this testimonial by one of our subscribers.
I can say true to my heart that LNM worked for me. I stood up day and night confused by what the fake news has told me. I could not even take care of my family or hold a job. I couldn't even get off the couch to do anything, and I knew there was a problem. Now, since I've been on LMN, my family life is back, and I'm waking up more people than ever around the world.
Now you know what you can do to put an end to restless mind syndrome. Ask your doctor about LNM and ask if it's right for you. LNM should not be taken without a prescription. It should never be taken while on drugs like Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. You should also tell your doctor if you take Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, or Randy Rhoads serious. Side effects of LNM include waking up, spreading truth, passing out cards and flyers. Other side effects may include, but not limited to, the expansion of mind and thought, arguments with sheeple, high blood pressure, preparedness, mood swings, and the feeling of a need to get involved. If you see chemtrails after you have begun using LNM, contact your state and local officials immediately, because this could be a sign you're waking up. LNM, because you don't have to live in the dark with RMS anymore. And you don't have to live in the dark with RMS anymore. Sorry about that, but we had to get situated here. We're working on getting Susan on the line with us right now, so bear with us, and we'll get her done. And in the meantime, I want to urge all these people who believe that this is all some big conspiracy theory. You're going to hear from a woman tonight who has lived a nightmare, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have wanted to have to go through what she has. And, I'm sure that there's been a lot more victims since Susan, and we'll ask her about that as well, and, how many other people are being subdued to this. I tell you, I was watching videos the other day and seeing these sheriffs come, and they knock on the door, no warrant, no nothing, just pull people out of the house, go in there, and there's nothing in there. They find nothing. Just bullying their way through people's houses. I watched them, come into the wrong house and tackle Granny to the floor. This poor old lady, she had to be around, 75, 80 years old, and the big, tough, fat police officer is roughing her up. He's such a man now. He's got a gun and a badge, and he just beat up an old lady. He's got to be feeling great about himself. So, this is what it's coming to, and the videos are out there. There's thousands of them that are out there. But let me see what's going on there, Autumn. Oh, okay. Well, Autumn's still working on it here, so hopefully we'll have Susan in a moment. I might have to send her a message. I don't know if her time, maybe the time got messed up a little here or something, but she will be with us. I almost promise you that. So I guess let me work on it here for a second, folks. I apologize. Please bear with us. We're doing the best we can. We're going to get Susan Lindauer on with us. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes here. Thank you for your patience. This is Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network.
Is there proof of God's existence in our government's records? Author Jose Collazo brings his years of research into this stunning question to light in God Does Exist, No More Nuclear Testing, and more. Touching on little-known government projects such as the Remote Viewers Program and Active Auroral Research Program, Collazo has uncovered some amazing discoveries through his research and use of the Freedom of Information Act. From uncovered information on the Ark of the Covenant to connections between natural disasters and nuclear testing, experience this revealing look into our government's obscure and hidden work. Discover how new and experimental technologies may change our world forever and uncover monumental proof and answers to mankind's greatest questions in God Does Exist, No More Nuclear Testing, and more.
All right, so I think we're all set now. We do have Susan Lindauer on the line, and we'll get started here in just a second. So I thank you, everyone, for your patience. This happens sometimes, There's some delays. It happens. But we got plenty of time tonight to get through this with Susan Lindauer, so it's not an issue. Susan Lindauer, we had already read off the bio. You've got a great book out there telling everybody about this 9/11, this Patriot Act, and the Iraq War, and a lot of good information in there, and I thank you so much for returning to Late Night in the Midlands with us. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me back on your show. I love coming on your show. Do you guys realize this? I want everybody to understand tonight, however you're going to vote, I want you to leave this show knowing that you got to vote. I want you to know how much it costs to vote. Because this is the very first presidential election that I was not under indictment. I was under indictment in 2004 and 2008 on the Patriot Act, and never had a trial, was never convicted of any crimes. I got locked up in prison on Carswell Air Force Base in Texas, and right up until the November 2008 election, they kept threatening to throw me back in jail. And it didn't stop until the election. And right when they had the election, and I kept doing radio interviews that were talking about 9/11 and Iraq and the lies that they told. And nobody, the corporate media wasn't covering my story, but the blogs were, and you guys were just beginning to catch on that something was really rotten in Washington. And man, they kept trying to take me into custody until right up to the election. So you guys, whatever you're going to do on November 6th or whatever, vote. You got to vote. It matters.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of people who have been coming to me and saying that there's still a chance to get somebody else besides the two puppets that they have up there now. And they said you can write in and still get Ron Paul. And do you know anything about that? I mean, what's the chances of getting around these guys?
I think that you got to vote. You've got to go in and show them that we are people. We are a force to be reckoned with, and we're not backing down. If you want to vote, write in Ron Paul. Do it. If you want to vote for Obama, I personally don't like Romney. I find the mainstream GOP very frightening because of what they did to me. I don't think that they believe in freedom. I believe Ron Paul believes in freedom, and I believe Ron Paul is just, he would have saved the Republican Party, but I don't believe for a minute that Mitt Romney. Let me rephrase that. I do believe Mitt Romney. I take him at his word. He scares me to death. I think he's very dangerous. The comment about the 47%, I don't need to worry about them. And that's all of us. That's all of me. That's my middle class. I'm the middle class, and he doesn't care about us. He says he loves firing people. I believe him. I think that think that we've heard him say that he loves firing people. He doesn't care about the middle class. I think that he will absolutely privatize Medicare. I think that's a disaster. I think he'll privatize Social Security to help out his friends on Wall Street. I think that's a disaster. This idea that a tax cut is going to solve every problem is nonsense. That is absolutely ridiculous. And all they want to do is spend money on the defense budget. That's corporate welfare. That, to me, is corporate welfare. And they don't want to spend money on soldiers, people. No. They don't want to spend money on the VA, hospitals now. They don't want to spend money on pensions for soldiers who've come back from fighting who are really messed up in their lives, and they're trying to, they need a safety net right now. They went out there for us. Now we've got to be there for them. And I don't hear Mitt Romney talking about those people. They don't figure into anything. But Mitt Romney is all gung-ho for Lockheed Martin. And I take him at his word. I think he's very scary.
I agree with you. They both scare me. Both of them have agendas. I mean, Obama with this NDAA bill and so many other things. We're in trouble.
Yeah, we are
really in trouble.
I'm frightened of what's going to happen. I do believe, having heard Joe Biden, I believe the Democrats are less likely to go to war with Iran. I believe that if Mitt Romney is president, if Mitt Romney had been president a year ago, we would already be at war with Iran. I believe that. And I believe it's so dangerous and so worrisome that we could start World War III, and they would just do it for the Christian right, because these evangelicals believe that and I believe in God. See, I believe in God, and I believe God does not want us to destroy this planet. No. That I don't
he
believe.
doesn't. And if they really want to save
creation that belongs
some money,
to God, so it doesn't. We gotta be conservationists.
They need to bring the troops home. They need to end these foolish wars. That would certainly help us a great deal.
Well, Obama did end the war in Iraq, and Afghanistan is a fiasco, and we have lost so much of our prestige, and we're bankrupting ourselves. I'm worried. I'm very worried about what's going to happen. But I do believe that Romney, that after Joe Biden, was so adamant and so logical in saying that Iran does not possess nuclear weapons and is not about to possess nuclear weapons, and there's no reason to start a war on the basis of something that might happen 5 years from now. I think he's completely right, and I think there's time that we need to deal with Iran in a different way. I think that we ought to be pushing green energy, like solar power and wind power, and we need to be talking, because Iran keeps saying that they've got to have nuclear energy for their cities, and so we need to help them find some other ways to, that will take care of their needs, but what do you call it? It'll stop ramping up this fight. Deaccelerate. Right. It'll lower the tensions.
Well, what I worry about though is they all talk a good talk, and then they get in there and they do the total opposite. And the fact is, we do have technology for free energies that would revolutionize this world and our lives. But the big oil companies, there's so many interests and hidden agendas that it really keeps us from prospering.
I agree with you 1,000%. And Mitt Romney criticized Obama, and this wasn't Obama doing it. Mitt Romney did it in the first debate. Criticized Obama for spending $50 billion on green energy, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" That is the future. That is a way to achieve technological superiority for the United States and energy sufficiency and create new jobs that are good paying jobs. A whole new field. And you see that Ford and General Motors, the one things that they've got going for them now after this auto bailout is they've gone green. And now I want to buy a Ford. I want to, if they're going to be energy efficient and push quality, I'll support them. So the auto bailout, the things that the Romney doesn't like. I tell you, I'm afraid of this guy.
Well, I'm afraid of them both, and
afraid of them both. Yeah.
I really am. It's not really them that I get so concerned with. It's the ones who are really pulling the strings, in the long run. That really worries me.
Well, who do you think Romney's going to work for? Is he going to work for us, or is he going to work for Edelman? Think of who bought his campaign. Think who paid for him. He doesn't owe us. He doesn't care about us. He won't do any. If Edelman says, "Hey, Romney, I want you to do X, Romney will be running around to whatever Edelman's agenda is, and it won't matter what's good for America. It really will not matter. One iota.
It hasn't mattered what's good for America for a long time, it seems. In all honesty, I mean, really, the people need to take this country back. We need to take it back. We're destroying it. And when I say we, I mean not you and I, but no, I understand. It's got out of hand. We've got there is potential for free energy, clean energy. We have a lot of potential,
and it would be jobs. It's jobs. Ford is producing cars with clean energy. Jobs. You're not sacrificing jobs. You're creating jobs.
I could probably, if we had more time, I could tell you some stories of some guests who have come on and swore up and down and bet their lives on it that, some Ford, for instance, had built a truck and a special kind of carburetor in this truck that they were able to drive from New York to California with it on one tank of gas. But the interest, of course, the agenda said, no, you can't do that, and made them store it away somewhere. So I know we have a lot better technologies. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, so much being hidden from the people. It's ridiculous.
But the thing is, it's being hidden for profit. We need to get to a state where they're gonna help us, reduce our cost of living. And instead of trying to figure out a way to I live in the Washington D.C. metro area, and the electricity company just announced, the president, the CEO, just announced to his shareholders that they're going to seek increases in energy costs every single year. He said, "Don't worry, you're going to make a huge profit because we're going to keep pushing for energy hikes every year. So you're going to make a lot of money. Don't worry. Stay with us." And I'm like, one year they gave him a 50% energy, rate hike. 50%. And our heating bills, they're taking off every dollar they can get. They're just squeezing us to death. And they should be adjusting their value system so that they're helping us. If we could use our incomes, our disposable incomes, much more broadly, if we didn't have extravagant energy costs.
No, absolutely. Well, it's up to us. We've got to change this. We can't let it continue to go on the way it has.
I agree.
Again, I mean, there's some people who say Obama would be better and some say Romney would be better. I say that the two-party system to me is just a ploy to make people believe they have a choice. I think that we need more than just that two-party system. Yes. We really do.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, Obama has continued many of the policies of George Bush. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thought that anybody would want? I mean, now I realize some of your listeners may really get offended by that.
That's okay.
But I really did not like George Bush. I suffered a lot so that George Bush could lie about 9/11. He could lie about Iraq. He did not have the moral courage of his convictions to stand before the American people and say, I take responsibility for my decision-making. And I expect a president to do that. When a president is having me thrown in jail without a trial because he doesn't want to talk about because he needs to deceive voters, and he likes deceiving voters. And then he goes out, and remember everybody how they said that pre-war intelligence was so inferior and mediocre, and assets were incompetent. And there I had been the chief asset covering Iraq at the United Nations. Inside the embassy, we had the peace option on the table. The weapons inspections went off beautifully. I was the one who did those negotiations. And we had, the war was entirely avoidable and unnecessary. And and George Bush went out and he lied to you guys because he couldn't he forced us into this war, and then he wanted to grandstand and attack me and get publicity for attacking me, saying, she did it to us. I did not. You did it to yourself. George Bush did it to us. And I listen to these politicians, and I know there's a lot of Tea Party guys on the line, but you got to know something. The values of freedom, I totally am with you. The values of the Constitution, man, those are precious. But when you start getting politicians, except for Ron Paul, whom I love, you get these other politicians who are like jumping on the bandwagon. They don't care about the freedom of this country. A lot of the Tea Party candidates turned around and supported an extension of the Patriot Act. They had, during election time, they swore up and down they were going to oppose the Patriot Act. They were going to restore the integrity of the Justice Department and the courts, and they were going to protect freedom. And all those things are good things. And you're thinking to yourself, yeah, please, help us do this. This is for America. And the next thing you know, they're like, oh, well, gosh, I guess we're going to go ahead and support the Patriot Act after all. Oh, well, no one's going to care. You're not going to be able to throw us out. You're stuck with us now. And that's the problem. We need to throw all of these guys need to be thrown out of office.
I say every one of them that signed that NDAA bill, or everyone that said yay to that NDAA bill, should be tried and thrown in jail. God. And I can assure you, we have no George Bush fans listening to this show.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't think we do.
Okay, well, I didn't think you would either, and I know that, they're down in Texas and all over America. There's still some people who want to say, oh, George didn't know what he was doing. And I still get people, even among the Democrats and liberals and progressives, who say, oh, you did this war. You're the one to blame. And I'm like, hey, if you were actually listening to TV outside of MSNBC,
Mm-hmm.
if you guys were paying attention to more than MSNBC, you'd know what the heck is going on in this country too, because the corporate media is just failing us so badly. Whether it's Fox News, I say MSNBC because they seem to be Democrats.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.